And with that, the biggest mystery of the series has been uncovered. Mari's hair looks so derpy because she cuts it herself. Mind blown. I'm kidding, Mari, I love your hair. Hello everybody, I am PhenomSage, and welcome back to another Place Further Than the Universe episode review. Today we are going to be covering episode 8, Howling, Maddening, Screaming. And speaking of hair, please keep this style on Shirase at all times. It just looks too good. But no, stay tuned to the end of this video because I have some very important information about the future of this series on this channel. I would just start the video with it, but I'd rather save it for the end. Let's just get into this episode. For the large portion of it, this was definitely a more chill episode, focusing on entertaining character interactions, funny dialogue, and just humorous scenarios, which in all fairness, all of those things elevated this episode and made it so entertaining to watch. It definitely wasn't as emotional or intense as last week's episode, but it definitely had its moments, I will say that, and we'll get into it. But I just want to focus on this more humorous and entertaining side to the series that has basically always been there from the beginning. This has always been a funny show, and it feels like it's only gotten funnier and funnier with time. And what I like about this show's humor that was really showcased and exemplified well in this episode was how a lot of it isn't brought attention to in the slightest. It's not like one of the girls says a joke and then there's a pause to let you laugh. These funny situations and scenarios are hilarious, but they just keep on moving and never really bring attention to the fact that they're funny. They just let it happen. This approach honestly makes the humor land even more for me, and it's such good writing when you can have these inherently funny situations and have them be funny for the audience without needing to bring attention to it. Speaking of not bringing attention to things, there are a lot of little details in this episode as well that weren't humorous but added to the feel and context of the situation. And again, this is something that the series has always excelled at, just putting little things in the background or skipping by certain things really fast because they're not really trying to bring attention to them, they're just there as an addition. Things like the sign on the girls' dorm that says knock first, Rin sneezing when Mari is talking about her on the ship about how she didn't let her bring the peeler, or Yumiko putting up the picture of the steak competition as the girls are suffering from seasickness, not wanting to eat anything. It just adds a lot of flavor without really needing to take focus away from the story. And as always, that's a testament to the fantastic direction that we've had throughout the series so far. On the topic of seasickness, I have to add to what I was just saying about the direction and praise Ishizuka for the way that the direction and voice acting was used here to help me relate and make me feel the sickness that these girls do while on the boat. Watching the boat rock around, seeing their faces and the way that they're talking while they're sick, I was legit getting nauseous, and that might just be because I have easy motion sickness, but it's always impressive to me when a series can communicate those feelings that our characters are feeling off of the screen. I especially like the scene where Kanai is explaining that their insides will go like a roller coaster, and you just have this upward panning shot to make you feel that dizziness. Just so well done. Very wonderfully executed. This wasn't just a fun and games episode though. We did have a source of conflict within our characters about the journey that they're going on and if they can actually handle it or not. And that fear has always been there. I think I've mentioned this all the way back when they were first trying to set up checkpoints on that mountain. I was always saying this trip is going to be a lot harder than we think. This is not going to be a walk in the park or a vacation. This is going to be arduous work. And that is made apparent even before we get to Antarctica, as we see the rest of the crew have built a stamina and resistance to the way that this ship rocks around and being able to run around it no problem, whereas our group of girls are struggling to even stand after enduring all of this. And eventually Yuzuki is actually saying, can we do this? Is this something feasible for us? Can we match up to them? And Shirase just says, we don't have a choice. We're on this trip now. And I love the response that Mari gives. Mari simply says, we did have a choice and we made it. We're on this trip and we will emerge on the other side. That's some motivational speaking I would have expected from Hinata, not Mari. It's just such an uplifting moment, empowering everyone. The soundtrack, oh my god, the soundtrack, it nearly put tears in my eyes again this week. And then you just have Hinata come down and say, yeah, you're right. right. She begins walking off and everybody's like, where are you going? She turns around and says, the toilet. Again, comedy just being used in just the right way. Excellent direction, cutting out the music. But it did kind of ruin that teary-eyed scene. But those tears came right on back at the final climactic scene of the episode. Every Antarctica episode has to have that climactic, powerful, emotional sequence, and we get another one of those here as the girls resolve themselves and go out on the side of the boat as the storm is ensuing. Probably not the smartest idea. I was very worried. It would be so easy for the storm to just flip one of them off the boat and that would be it. There's no going back at that point. But it was a beautiful scene, so I'll forgive it. Seeing the waves, feeling that sense of adventure yet again, and that glorious insert song playing in the background. Oh, I need this OST as soon as it's available, and it was the final few minutes of this episode that reminded me yet again why I love this series so much. It's just making me feel things this season that no other show is making me feel. And of course, by the end, we don't quite get to Antarctica, but we do get close as we see icebergs on the horizon. Now, I originally thought that the boat sequence was only going to be this episode and we would be getting to Antarctica by the end, but that doesn't seem to be the case. We're still on the boat. Gin still says we have a little bit to go until we get to Antarctica, so I guess we might be spending another episode on the boat. I'm not complaining, I just find it interesting the way that they're pacing it. And at the very end, the post-credits scene, we see Gin holding a platter of flowers, which basically confirms the theory that I mentioned last week. They are absolutely taking the flowers we saw for a ceremony in Takiko's honor. Now, taking this into consideration, I suppose now that it's confirmed that they have no intention of finding her body, which in all fairness makes sense. It would probably be long gone at this point. It just feels so weird to wrap up that story arc without either finding her alive or finding her body. Having a ceremony will still suitably be emotional, but I was expecting more of a closure to that plot thread. Who knows though, they could surprise me, they could do something I never expected. I still think that there's a chance we might find her body, or even find her alive out here. But that will of course be later on in the series, maybe even some finale type stuff right there. Either way, I'm really excited to get to that point because there are so many plot arcs that they've set up for Antarctica that we will absolutely be getting payoffs for due to how well this show has been written. And before I end off this review, I just want to say that seeing the girls laying in the same position at the beginning of the episode that they do in the opening was a nice touch, and seeing them say that they will be doing it in Antarctica as well was a nice little nod to the audience. I don't think we're going to be seeing that in the series itself. I think the point of the opening is to show you that they ended up doing it in Antarctica, which really cool direction there. I love that. But that's been all from me for this Place Further Than the Universe episode review. Thank you all so much for watching this episode review. I really appreciate you guys watching. And now I can talk about this important information that I mentioned at the beginning. Over the past weekend, I've realized that I am just having less and less time to do everything that I need to do. I've been swamped with videos I want to make, comments I need to reply to, real life commitments that I need to take care of, and that's not even considering the lack of free time that I've had in the past few weeks. And it was only when I saw the amount of comments that I got on all of the videos that I've released in the past week, and not really being able to reply to any of them, that I realized that I just don't have the time to do everything that I want. And so it's with a heavy heart that I have decided to stop reviewing this series weekly. You guys know how much I'm loving it, so this really hurts that I feel the need to do this. But despite how much I'm loving it, I would say that it's not really something that I can analyze and review as well as something like Darling in the Franxx without repeating myself about the characterization and sense of adventure over and over again. It's an excellent show, but it's a very simple premise driven by its characters, not really by analysis and review, which is part of the reason why I think these reviews have been doing poorly on my channel. Just because a lot of people are enjoying this series, they don't really feel the need to hear some dude analyze the character work every single episode. And I know that there is still an audience out there who enjoys watching these reviews, so I sincerely apologize for this, but due to how long it takes to make these reviews and everything that I mentioned above, I feel like like I need to put my time into other places right now. So with that being said, reviews will not be continuing next week. Again, I'm sorry. However, I am putting a cliff note on that. However, once the series is finished, I will absolutely be doing an overall series review, probably scripted in all honesty. I just want to put as much effort and work into a video explaining why this series is so good. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. I know this will be disappointing to some, but just realize it wasn't an easy decision to make. I'm just doing what I think is best for me, my time, and my channel. So again, thank you all for watching this review, and of course, as usual, have a great day.